Hello again. We're back with 101 East and our exclusive interview with UN Special Envoy to Myanmar, Ibrahim Gambari. There have been some calls from rights groups for the United Nations Secretary General to set up a permanent presence in Myanmar to help keep the momentum from going. It was in an open letter from the Generation 88 students released yesterday, and I saw that the Asian Human Rights Commission also put that forward in an op-ed piece in Hong Kong. What's your response to that? Is that a possibility?
Well, we already have a presence.
Yes, through the UN.
United Nations
but a
resident coordinator. If there's further traction, if there's progress, which I hope there will be, then this is something that the Jazeera may consider, but we are not there yet. To put an additional presence that will then address some of the more overtly political role.
Yes, but the United Nations presence has been there for decades, and it hasn't done much so far. Look at the situation of the ICRC. It had access to prisoners until 2005. Really, human rights violations have been going on in Myanmar every day. It's just that those demonstrations last month were so public and so flagrant, so brutal. Isn't it time to have a more political role for the United Nations now? This is an opportunity.
As I said, though, we have multiple sources of engagement and instruments of engagement. If and when the Jazeera decides that it's time to add to or enhance those, I'm sure that he will very seriously consider it.
The criticism has been that there has not been a sufficiently clear vision, a plan, a long-term plan for Myanmar that is being consistently enforced and monitored on the ground. When you went to Myanmar a few weeks ago, there were questions asked about why you didn't stay in Yangon, why you let the government, as it were, set your agenda for you, or your schedule for you. What's your response to those criticisms?
Well, because I go there in the context of the good office role of the Secretary General, working with the government of Myanmar. I was not an emissary of the Security Council with a mandate for enforcement, which means you can go without the consent and authority of the government. That was not the case. I think the best way is painful, is to work with the government to get the kind of results we need, but each time to continue to widen the window of opportunity, and that's why I sincerely hope that my next visit will be able to stay longer and also see more people, and I believe it is possible. Working with, not against the government at this point, because we just need that access. We need the room to maneuver, we need the cooperation, and we need the support. Nonetheless, even those that I did not see on that last visit, it doesn't mean that our people on the ground did not have access to information, because we get reports, we get information, I get letters, and all these, I believe, are reflected in the reports that I give back in headquarters.
Do you have any idea yet of whether you need to set time frames for the negotiations that you're having? Will you have goals that you want to set to be achieved on this next visit in Myanmar?
Yes, because it's one of our cardinal principles of engagement with the authorities is that the good office role is not an end by itself. It has to produce tangible results. And one of the tangible results is first the commencement of the dialogue, the broadening of the dialogue, and also the targeting the dialogue towards the early release of political prisoners, including Aung San Suu Kyi herself. Also, having a national reconciliation process that is more all-inclusive, and having a discussion on timelines for the achievements of these objectives.
How do you see the ethnic minorities figuring in the process?
I think they have important roles to play, and they have been making some very constructive, they are representatives.
You've been in touch with them?
Yes, and very constructive suggestions, because they realize that time is going, the country's situation is not getting better, and that the time has come for all those concerned who have a contribution to make to be allowed to make it. And that's why we feel that the dialogue should start initially, of course, between the government and Aung San Suu Kyi, but to be broadened to include those who have contribution to make. Incidentally, I can confirm that Madam Aung San Suu Kyi sees herself not just as the leader of the NLD, which she is, but she really sees herself as the leader or a leader of to articulate the interests of all Burmese, including in particular the legitimate concerns of the ethnic nationalities.
Yes, let's talk about Aung San Suu Kyi. You're the only foreign dignitary, as you said, who has been able to meet with her 4 times, actually, in the last 12 months. When you talk to government officials, SPDC officials, they say they don't understand why the West is so hung up on her. She's getting in the way of progress on real negotiations, and she's very stubborn. All of these characteristics, never mind the fact that she has been detained for most of the last 15 years. When you talk to her, do you feel that she looks at her role in a different way than she did during the last dialogue that she had with the government?
Well, I wasn't part of the dialogue that she has had earlier. I sincerely hope that I can make a contribution to the next set of dialogue. What I sense from her is the realization that her party needs her, the NLD needs her, the ethnic nationality group need her, her country needs her. And so I believe she's willing to do all that is necessary to ensure that dialogue starts and that the interests of all the people of Myanmar are addressed, because she knows that the situation can deteriorate, and who suffers the most are the ordinary people of Myanmar. I think she feels very keenly their suffering, and I believe she would like to make a contribution.
You said that you had a goal with your next visit to Myanmar. If dialogue doesn't start within a few days of your visit, what can Myanmar expect?
I hope that scenario will not materialize. I sincerely hope so, because it's very clear that if you do not address the underlying source of discontent of economic and social nature, of a political nature, then nobody can guarantee that there will not be a further demonstration. And no government, and I'm sure not this one, would like to be put in a situation whereby the only response is through the use of force, which does not achieve anything. And so I sincerely hope, and I'm pleading, and I'm really calling on the government of Myanmar to really make this dialogue happen and to produce concrete results and to start as soon as possible. That's what I would like to report when I go back to New York after my next visit to Myanmar, that there is in this progress, that the talks have started, and it appears a lot more serious than perhaps the previous efforts.
As you look at your relationship with the SPDC and with the NLD and all the stakeholders, what do you think is going to be the essential ingredient for this to work? Is there a secret to diplomatic success?
No, just persistence and refusal to take no for an answer, because the objectives are the same. I cannot see any government not wanting to share the objective of a peaceful, prosperous country that is democratic and has full respect for the human rights of its own people, because the UN family believes, and the successive Secretary General have said, that there can be no development without peace, there can be no durable peace without sustainable development, and there will be neither peace nor development unless countries operate in the framework of democratization and full respect for human rights. So that's those messages and the persistence and the refusal to take no for an answer can only be contributing ingredients for the work.
Thank you very much indeed. Ibrahim Gambari, United Nations Secretary General, Special Envoy to Myanmar.
My pleasure. Thank you, Veronica.